What a perfect day. I mean, isn't it amazing? You walk outside this morning, the sun's shining, the sky's blue. Sunday morning, we gather together and we just let time suspend. And we say to ourselves, I'm just going to live here in this moment, and it doesn't matter how long Deacon Steve's homily is. It's going to let it go. And there are days, aren't there? There are days when our prayer is like that. There are days when my prayer is zeroed in, when my mind and my heart are aligned with my spirit, and I feel complete unity with God. Those are really good days, and that's really good prayer when the glow of the candle named me is absorbed into the bright light of the sun. But far more often, far more often, it seems, my prayer feels more like a blind mouse bumping its way through a dark maze. We bungle and struggle to find an opening and try to figure out what we're doing and where we're going. And it feels awkward and clumsy, and we just keep hoping for an opening, hoping for some light. And the difference, of course, the difference is me. The difference isn't the prayer. The difference isn't the form or the structure of the prayer. The difference certainly isn't God. The difference is me. Whether my soul is really centered and my mind and my heart are aligned with it. Because it's awfully difficult to be unified with God when we're not unified within ourselves. I think this is what the disciple is seeking and trying to figure out when he says to Jesus, teach us how to pray. Clearly, these guys knew how to pray. They had been raised in their faith. They were good Jewish men, and they had been taught to pray since they were children, as have we all. So they knew the form, they knew the structure, but they were seeking that depth. They were seeking that experience of oneness and unity with God that Jesus knew so well, and they wanted prayer like that. The ancient Jewish men were all instructed to recite the 18 benedictions of the Mishnah 2 to 3 times a day. So the Mishnah was the oral Torah passed down, and there were 18 benedictions that Jewish men were asked to recite 2 to 3 times a day. The problem is that these 18 benedictions had 1,900 words, and they took 45 minutes or more to recite. And if you do that 2 or 3 times a day, a good chunk of your day is lost. So being human like all of us, I'm sure, what do we do when we have to recite something over and over, several times a day after day, and it's real long? We race through it. We rattle through it. We speed through it as fast as we can. Sort of like meal prayer at the in-laws. Bless us, O Lord, and these are thy gifts for which we are about to receive from thy bounty. To be an auctioneer to pray like that. Because we're just pushing our way through it and we're not registering the meaning. So when the disciple asks Jesus, how do we pray? The first thing he does is he takes those 1,900 words of those Mishnah benedictions, and he condenses them down to 38 words. 38 words which we have expanded a bit into what we now call the Lord's Prayer. And in doing so, he's saying to the people, to the disciples, look, here's how to pray. Simplify. Don't get caught up in the form and the structure and all of that stuff. Just simplify, slow down, and be sincere. Simplify, slow down, and be sincere. And perhaps even simplify and slow down until you're left with silence. And that's where we encounter God. And then he goes on and he tells this fabulous little anecdote about pounding on your friend's door in the middle of the night. And let's not lose Jesus' humanity in this story. Let's not lose his sense of humor. Sometimes we read these scriptures and we think he was all serious all the time. This is a fabulously ridiculous story. Pounding on your friend's door in the middle of the night until he gives in. Now, the point of that story isn't to tell us that we can annoy God into surrender to our will. I mean, we've all tried that, haven't we? We try to annoy God until God surrenders to our will. That's not the point. The point is about persistence. The point is to pray with persistence and consistency. All the time, always, day and night, to never quit, to never give up. We have a habit of living our lives in these neat little tidy compartments. Here's my 10 minutes of prayer time. Now here's my grocery shopping time. Now here's my gym time. And we live that way. And Jesus says, no, don't take your prayer and tuck it into a little compartment. Carry it with you and never stop. Never stop, day and night. Every moment of every day, leave yourself open, prayerfully open to an encounter with God in every person. That's how you pray, always and everywhere, so that the way you live your life is a stream and an outflowing of prayer. And then the third thing is he goes on and he tells this story about the boy asking his father for a fish. What father among you would hand his son a snake when he asks for the fish? Again, exaggeration, hyperbole. Jesus uses it to teach us the value of optimism. Believe, he says, it's all right. Just relax with your prayer. Just relax. God's got this. It's going to be okay. You ask God for the Spirit, he's not going to give you a snake. I mean, it's right. I mean, you can believe this. You can have hope. Pray optimistically. And those are the three things Jesus gives in answer to the question, how do we pray? Not in terms of structure, but in terms of depth, in terms of meaning. How do we pray? And Jesus says these three things. Number one, simplify, slow down, and be sincere. Number two, be consistent and persistent. Pray always with every breath and every step. And third, pray optimistically with hope. Those three things transform us, because that's ultimately what's wrapped around all of this, is that message that good, deep, transformative prayer isn't about trying to change God. Good, deep, transformative prayer changes us.